Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. So, in my placement, there really isn't a lot of risk for, or there isn't much exposure to bloodborne pathogens. My interaction with the community doesn't involve exposure to blood or other infectious materials. I guess there is the risk of something very, random happening. But as far as, working on an everyday basis, I don't work in a medical setting, so we don't have needles and um, blood being drawn, and just there isn't a lot of that. Those concerns are not really in my agency. I work with young children, so I've got the germs and bacteria that little kids always carry around, but um, nothing that's too much of a concern or a risk. So the parents are always there, and the opportunities for contamination are pretty minimal even with that. So um, when I first arrived into my agency, I didn't really receive a training about the bloodborne pathogens or the protocol that they have in place to if something were to happen. So there is no exposure control plan that's in any of the communal areas. So when I started asking questions of the people that work in the office, no one really knew. So I think really just tells me that there hasn't been a lot of um, a lot of safety issues that have come up like this. So the risks are pretty minimal, and so it's not really a pressing concern. So they haven't really, I guess, felt the need to put something like that where it's readily available to everyone. I'm assuming that the training that they go through when they get hired might involve something like that, but I didn't go through that. So, my supervisor's out of town right now, and I'd like to talk to her further about if there is something in place. But as the risk is pretty minimal, I'm not very concerned about it. So, as far as other risks or safety things that might come up in the agency, the leader of the new parent support program, she does home visits with new parents, and so she's going into people's homes, and in that there's always a risk. There's factors that you can't always anticipate. Um, there could be pets, or there could be another person there that you're not expecting. Um, there's lots of different things that could happen that could be perceived as a threat or could actually be a threat. So, in talking to her, I haven't actually been on a home visit with her yet, but that's something we're planning. So, she said that she just has to eh, assess the situation when she first gets there and determine if she feels safe. And usually she says it's no problem, and it's always, they're very warm and welcoming, and she's never had a bad experience. But she said if she were to feel something or interpret it as a threat, whether it be a pet or another person, that she would either not go into the home or would leave as soon as possible and make adjustments and come back to the office and report what had happened. Um, so with client office visits, again, in speaking to my colleagues who deal with the clients and speak to people regularly, they've never had a situation that did turn violent or escalated into something that felt like a risk or a threat. So luckily, the office, we have always people present. So if something did happen, if you're alone in your office and you were meeting with someone and something did happen, there's so many people close by that it would be pretty easy to get someone's attention. Um, and in my situation, I won't be unsupervised. So, but it's, stop the situation and get someone's help as soon as possible. So, after hour meetings do occur, and there's just you have to be a little bit more mindful when you're maybe in an unfamiliar area, or it's dark and you don't have as many people around. But seeing as how we're typically on a military base, we have the MPs always around, and it's easier to navigate that and to know that there's not as much of a security issue. So it's just being careful and using common sense. Thank you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.